Chapter 1. The Snap Occurs. Scared Potter, Malfoy sneered, and Harry snapped. He was done, finished, fed up with playing the innocent little Gryffindor with no common sense and a microscopic amount of intelligence. He rolled his eyes. Why, yes, Malfoy, I'm terrified. Can't you see me quaking in my boots? You, a second-year child armed with a stick, is the scariest thing I've ever seen. Please, please don't fatally injure me in front of 300 witnesses and 2 teachers with your mean words and nasty smiles. Whatever shall I do? The entire hall fell silent, and Malfoy gaped. Harry smirked. Lockhart looked entirely bemused, and he thought Snape might be holding back a laugh. On the count of 3, then, Lockhart said. 1, 2, 3. Serpent Sorcerer, Malfoy cried, and a large and certainly venomous snake poured out from his wand. An eastern brown snake, Harry thought. Where am I? Attack! It cried and lunged toward him. Stop, Harry commanded, deciding to see if he could give Snape an aneurysm. Snake rose to inspect him. A speaker. Yes, I will provide you with food and warmth, and in return you will not bite me. The snake uncoiled, then slithered toward him. Agreed. Don't worry, my boy, I'll sort it out, Lockhart cried. He raised his wand. Expelliarmus, Harry hissed, and snatched Lockhart's wand out the air. You really are a fool. Lockhart looked gobsmacked, and he could almost hear Hermione's gasp of horror. He knelt before the snake, and it coiled around his arm and up his body. Male or female? He hissed. Female, obviously. Thank you, Malfoy, I'll be keeping her. Malfoy was gaping. Expelliarmus, Harry said again, and received Malfoy's wand for his trouble. Snape pursed his mouth. Harry threw their wands onto the floor. I win. He grinned and hopped off the dueling platform. My name's Harry, he told the snake. What's yours? What do you like to eat? I am Baneful Rodents, Harry was summarily informed. I eat rodents. Harry, Hermione cried. How could you disarm and insult a teacher? Lockhart is an imbecile, not a teacher, he said with a smirk, and she gaped. Harry, you can't say that. I can, I just did, she pouted. Hey, mate, you're not actually keeping the snake, and why didn't you tell us you could speak Parselmouth? Ron said. Harry rolled his eyes. I am a Parselmouth, and I speak Parseltongue, and you never told us that you spoke, idiot, yet you manage to prove it every time you open your mouth. As if to prove him right, Ron frowned, and then gaped as he figured out the insult. Hey is for horses. Out the corner of his eye, Harry could see Hermione giggling. Ha, Harry sighed. Don't you worry your pea-sized brain. To the common room. They strode off. It was rather easy to make way through the crowds with a snake wrapped around him. People seemed to be afraid of it for some reason. Harry was later summoned to the headmaster's office, whereupon he was faced with McGonagall, Snape, and Dumbledore. Harry, it's good to see you. Are you well and keeping up with your studies? Yes, thank you, Harry replied, rather suspicious as to why he was there. An excellent defeat of young Draco in dueling club, I must say. Harry kept silent, and impressive skills subduing the snake, but I'm afraid I must tell you that you cannot keep it. Her, Harry interrupted. She's female. Snape's mouth twitched. Ah, yes, very good, Dumbledore said with a twinkle in his eye. But my point still stands. She's not on the list of permitted pets, and so I'm afraid she must go. Ding, Harry said. Dumbledore fell silent and frowned at him. That's my bullshit detector, Harry explained, and McGonagall gasped. Ron has a rat, Lee has a tarantula, and therefore I can only conclude that the reason you don't want me keeping a snake is because it's a snake, and thus has ominous connotations with Slytherin and everything evil. Snape's mouth twitched again. Frankly, I suspect that snakes once were on the permitted pets list. A cat for Gryffindors, an owl for Ravenclaws, and a toad for Hufflepuffs, and therefore snakes for Slytherin. Dumbledore blinked. 5 points from Gryffindor for your cheek, Potter, Snape snapped. Harry rather felt that it was because the man was jealous that he couldn't call Dumbledore out on his bullshit, being employed by him and all. Be that as it may, your snake is an eastern brown snake, one of the most venomous in the world, and potentially a danger to students. Ding, Harry said again, once more shocking the adults judging by their shocked expressions. Gasp. Lee's tarantula is venomous, and I haven't heard a word of complaint against it, and Lee can't even communicate with it. Baneful Rodents has promised not to bite anyone who's not trying to kill me. Dumbledore smiled. What did you call it, huh? Baneful Rodents. Oh, sorry, Baneful Rodents. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled again. Bane of all rodents. What an unusual name. I suppose you have a point. Very well. You have a week-long probationary period, and if it proves to be that you can control her, you may keep her. Thank you. Now, my boy, I would like to reaffirm that you will be safe at Hogwarts. Nobody will try to kill you here. Ding, Harry said, and noticed McGonagall cover her mouth with her hand and exchange an amused look with Snape. Enormous three-headed dogs, a troll, an insane genocidal lunatic who taught defense against the dark arts, to mention a few. Ah, yes. Will that be all, Professor? He said, pasting on his sweetest and most innocent expression. Snape rolled his eyes and Harry cheered silently in victory. Yes, Mr. Potter, that will be all. Arrogant little twerp, Severus muttered once Potter had left. I don't know what you mean, Dumbledore said, twinkling away. Ding, Minerva said, a sly grin on her face. Oh my, the power's gone to my head. Severus swept away and into his office and threw a handful of flue powder on the fire. Malfoy Manor. Lucius was sitting in his office and nodded a greeting. Ah, Severus, I thought I might be hearing from you. I just received a rather interesting owl from Draco. Do come through. Severus stepped into the flue and joined Lucius at his desk. You will not believe the conversation I just witnessed, he said, finally allowing his mirth at Potter's audacity to show. After Draco's letter, I'm sure you could tell me that there are pigs with wings and I'd stand and take a look out my window. Draco told you about Potter adopting the snake, being a Parselmouth. Lucius nodded. Well, Albus was of course having none of it, wanted Potter to have as little dark influence in his life as possible, and told Potter he couldn't keep the snake, on the grounds that it wasn't on the list of permitted pets. And Potter then goes, ding, that's my bullshit detector. Severus laughed, and Lucius snorted. He filled the other man in on the rest of the conversation. Albus did a 180 when he realized that it was an argument he wasn't going to win. Presumably to continue being seen as the benevolent, all-knowing grandfather figure, although I rather suspect that Potter's got him sussed out. Lucius looked thoughtful. That suggests the boy is more independent than we previously thought. Sounds like there's a bit of Slytherin inside him. I wonder if we can sway him to our side. Severus privately agreed, which worried him slightly. He'd misjudged the boy greatly. He'd hidden his entire personality, made himself to be the image of a perfect Gryffindor. He'd seen Potter roll his eyes the moment he'd given up. Draco had taunted him, and Potter had found it to be so hilariously stupid that he couldn't help but say something. Would you like to know the snake's name? Severus said with a chuckle, dismissing his current thoughts to dwell on later. Lucius raised a brow. Bane of all rodents. Lucius smiled. Most humorous, he agreed. Chapter 2. The Heir of Slytherin. Harry strode into Transfiguration, bane of all rodents wrapped around his neck. There had already been one incident that morning with Scabbers, but Ron had managed to snatch the rat away just in time. You should be a keeper with those reflexes, Harry had remarked, and Ron had been so astounded by the sudden compliment that he forgot to berate Harry for allowing his snake to attack Ron's rat. You look nice today, he said to Hermione, seating himself next to her. She blushed. Harry smiled inwardly. Point to him. Quiet, please, McGonagall said. Today we shall be learning how to turn a rabbit into a slipper. There was a flick of her wand, and a rabbit appeared on each of their tables. Bane Rodents lunged forward, biting the rabbit. Everyone stared. Bane Rodents began the slow process of swallowing it. Harry smiled sheepishly. Sorry, she's hungry. Next time give me a warning, and I'll tell her not to eat it, he told McGonagall. Naughty. I told you not to bite anything, he hissed. You told me not to bite any human, she replied, rather smug to have found a loophole. Harry sighed. Well, now I'm telling you not to bite anything unless I tell you that it is food. Fine, she replied in a resigned tone. Harry smiled winningly. She won't do it again. McGonagall stared at Bane Rodents, a perturbed expression upon her face. See that she doesn't, she said, and with a wave of her wand Harry had another rabbit. Now the incantation is Let Mutavsal, and the wand movement is this. She demonstrated. Harry grinned. It was time to start demonstrating to the world that Harry Potter was not an imbecile. Let Mutavsal, he murmured, flicking his wand. Instead of a rabbit sat a pair of fluffy white slippers. McGonagall looked startled, then beamed. Very good, Mr. Potter. 5 points to Gryffindor. Ron was gaping. He did that a lot, and Hermione looked frustrated. He slid his chair closer to hers. When you perform a spell, what do you feel? He asked. She frowned. A rush of magic, Hermione said. Harry nodded. Okay, now, before you perform the spell, try and pull that feeling to you. Her forehead crinkled as she focused. Okay, now perform the spell, visualizing the outcome. She did, and there sat a lovely pair of slippers. Thanks, Harry, she whispered. He grinned. He could practically feel Malfoy's glare. He turned and winked at the Bland, who nearly fell off his seat. Merlin, but idiot baiting was so much fun. They were sitting at Gryffindor table for lunch when Harry actually began to take note of the whispers surrounding him. They focused on one thing. Harry was the heir of Slytherin. He tried not to chuckle at the absurdity of that suggestion. People were sheep. Harry decided to take his turn at being shepherd. What's this about me being the heir of Slytherin, then? He asked his part of Gryffindor table. A number of them blushed or looked away. He could feel the rest of the hall quiet. Ah, the profits of being famous. Slytherin, he instructed the table, as if the entire hall wasn't listening. Slytherin is the house of cunning. If I was the heir of Slytherin, why on earth would I demonstrate that I was a Parselmouth and have a pet snake? It's far too obvious. Besides, those of you who have done your research know that the Chamber of Secrets was opened 50 years ago, and I wasn't even alive then, so it's obviously not me. Who is in then? Someone cried, and he saw Snape wince. He. He turned to the rest of the hall, not even bothering to pretend that he wasn't addressing them all. Well, that is the question. Who was alive when it first opened? Who will we least expect it to be? And who is a powerful enough wizard to open the chamber? They waited with bated breath. Harry smirked. Professor Dumbledore, of course. Snape looked resigned. Dumbledore looked surprised. Hagrid looked angry. McGonagall looked amused. The students gasped, and as one turned to look at the teacher's table, Harry suppressed a giggle. What a load of idiots. Harry, Hermione hissed to get his attention. Students began running out the hall, likely to inform their parents. Oh, he was good, he was so good. Come along, minions, off we go to potions, Harry said, and led the way. Harry, Hermione hissed even louder. Firstly, I object to being called a minion, and secondly, you can't just say that about a teacher. Harry rolled his eyes. Hermione, your unfounded respect and slavish devotion to figures of authority is going to get you into trouble one day, and I'll be there to tell you I told you so, he told her. Besides, if I was a normal student, I'd be feeling horrible about the fact that people suspected me of attacking their friends and that the teachers have done nothing to dissuade them of the idea. So I merely gave them a new one. It's a load of bollocks, of course, but so is the suggestion that I'm to blame. Hermione wrapped him into a hug. Oh, Harry, why didn't you say you were feeling bullied? Eh, how on earth had she drawn that conclusion? He shrugged and let her believe it. He sat next to Hermione in potions. Oh, come on, mate. We always sit together, Ron said. Harry smiled viciously. Yes, you're the reason our potions are what some might call disastrous, or others might call catastrophically awful. You lack the fortitude for hard work and concentration that potions requires, and the mental acuity to understand the interactions between ingredients that is essential for the completion of any potion harder than a cure for boils. Don't worry, you can partner with Seamus. Perhaps that way only one cauldron instead of two gets blown up. Ron frowned. So we're making new friends, okay, Harry stared. How had he put up with that imbecile for over a year? You really shouldn't be so hard on him, Hermione told him snartily, but he could see a faint glimmer of amusement in her eye. I'll stop being mean when he stops being an idiot. Ah, I see, so never, she said. Harry beamed and patted her on the head. Hurrah, you're learning. Snape swished in with his swishy robes swishing about. He watched Harry curiously for the entire lesson and barely did more than sneer at him. Then Harry felt a light probe of legilimency. He drew up his barriers, leaving only a message in burning letters. Legilimency on a minor is illegal. Snape pulled out of his mind and gazed at him with wide eyes. Harry smirked and turned in a perfect potion. Good day, sir, he said cheerily as he walked out the room. They retreated to the common room before dinner, where Baneforodent slithered up to him. Master, master, he cried, for Harry was unpronounceable in Parseltongue. The rodent turned into a human when I tried to eat him. Baneforodents, what have I told you about not eating other people's pets? Harry hissed, then froze as he realized the implications. Does he know that we can communicate? He asked, looking around for Ron's rat. There it was, dozing in Ron's hands. Oh, holy fuck, that was a human, an animagus. No, Boehner Forrodens hissed. Harry collected Hedwig's cage. Hey, Ron, Harry said, casual-like. Do you mind if I take Scabbers to get some food? He's looking a bit peaky. Ron peered at Scabbers and shrugged. Yeah, whatever, Ron muttered. Harry took the rat, which was still asleep, and debated the best course of action as he placed it into the cage, which he shrunk slightly. Snape or McGonagall, or both. He raced down the corridors into McGonagall's office, wand ready to stupefy the rat before it could do anything. Hi, Professor, he said with a gasp as he entered the room. Luckily for him, they were both present. Would you mind charming this cage unbreakable? He asked with a cute smile. McGonagall narrowed her eyes, but muttered the incantation. Stupefy, Harry muttered, pointing it at the rat. What is the meaning of this, Mr. Potter? She asked, and Snape stood with folded arms. Well, Boehner Forrodens was trying to eat Scabbers, and then she told me that he turned into a human. What nonsense is this? Snape growled. The Weasleys' rat has lived for 11 years. Don't you think that's rather suspicious for a rat? And I swear it's not a joke. He slept in Ron's bed. McGonagall and Snape exchanged glances. We better take this to the Auras, McGonagall murmured, and Snape muttered an agreement. If this is a prank, Snape left the rest unsaid. Harry snorted. If I was going to pull a prank, I'd do a much better job than this, and it would be much funnier. Harry scoffed. McGonagall and Snape fixed him with glares. Not that I would, he said brightly. It was Snape's turn to scoff. Dumbledore is the heir of Slytherin, McGonagall reminded him. Harry looked affronted. Ding, he said. Dumbledore's not the heir of Slytherin. Don't be ridiculous. Just like your father, Snape muttered. McGonagall gave him an amused glance. Off you go, Mr. Potter. I'll let you know what we discover. Harry met Malfoy on the way back to Gryffindor Tower. Potter, I'd like to offer you a truce, he said stiffly. Harry grinned. Your father finally right back to you then. If possible, Malfoy stiffened further. I don't know what you're talking about. Harry scoffed. If you say so. Right, you're a Slytherin. Are you the heir? He asked. What? No, I thought it was Dumbledore, Malfoy said, brow arching as if he disdained the very thought. Ha, what gave you that idea? Of course it's not Dumbledore. Harry frowned. Damn, we had such a great plan. Hermione's brewing polyjuice, and we were going to kidnap Crabbe and Goyle and pretend to be them to get the information out of you. I guess we don't have due to that now. Then Harry narrowed his eyes. Or have we done it already? Is Crabbe really Harry, and Goyle really Ron, and I'm really Hermione? Malfoy glanced at him suspiciously, then at the two lumps by his side. Or maybe we haven't done it yet, but we will soon. Keep your wits about you, and watch out for Lockhart. Last year the incompetent teacher was actually Voldemort in disguise. Why not this year? Malfoy looked horrified. All right, Malfoy, I suppose. After all your begging and pleading, I can accept a truce. See you later, Harry said and ran off, stifling a laugh. Hermione, my darling, Harry cried as he entered the common room. She gazed up warily. He didn't blame her. Malfoy's not the heir of Slytherin. I asked him, and then told him about our plan, so we can't use the polyjuice for that. Harry. What? It's not like I actually ever thought he was the heir. He's just too much of an idiot, and besides, he's got alibis. What if the heir commanded the monster to act after he left? Harry shook his head. You're giving Malfoy far too much credit. However, I do have an even better idea for what we can do with the polyjuice, he said, an evil grin upon his face. Oh no, Hermione muttered. Why does this always happen to me? Severus sighed after Potter left the room. Bloody Potter. Minerva threw flue powder into the fire. Aura's office, she cried. Kingsley Shacklebolt waved them through. What can I do for you today? He said jovially. Minerva placed the cage on his desk. One of our students has claimed that the Weasley's pet rat is an unregistered animagus and has been sleeping in Ron Weasley's bed, she said with a growl. Kingsley frowned. That is suspicious. Let's take it to a holding cell. The rat was deposited into a cell, and Minerva cast the animagus revealing spell. There was a flash of light, and instead of a rat there was a human. Even worse, that human was Peter Pettigrew. Oh dear, Kingsley said, and Severus rather felt that was an understatement. After a very enlightening Veritasrum interview, repeated 2 times in front of Amelia Bones and Rufus Scrimgeour, a task force was assembled to retrieve Black from Azkaban. Bones was storming around the office. Never had a trial, she cried. Get me Crouch in here right now. Bring up all of the transcripts of these supposed imprisoned Death Eaters. I want answers, people, and I want them right now. Well, Mr. Potter does seem to like causing trouble, Minerva observed. Severus thought back to the floods of owls Dumbledore was dealing with, questioning their children's safety. You can say that again, he muttered. Bloody Potter. Chapter 3. Scandal. The headlines were rather impressive that morning. Ministry scandal: Peter Pettigrew found alive and masquerading as a family pet, Sirius Black innocent Crouch suspended. Investigation into post-war trials pending: Sirius Black, renowned criminal and mass murderer, accused of the homicide of Peter Pettigrew and 12 muggles, has been found innocent of all crimes. The handsome lord of the Black family tells all in exclusive interview to this privileged reporter, me, Rita Skeeter. Black was also believed to be the secret keeper for the Fidelius charm surrounding the Potters' house in 1981, and the one who betrayed them to you-know-who, resulting in their murder. For more information on the Fidelius charm, turn to page 12. It was that piece of vermin, Peter Pettigrew, who was the real secret keeper. I was just a decoy. Black's stunning blue eyes fill with tears. He betrayed my best friend and his wife. When I discovered they were dead, I gave my godson, Harry Potter, the boy who lived, into Hagrid's safekeeping and chased after him. He pauses, shaking with emotion. I found him, but he got the better of me and blew up the street, yelling that it was me who had betrayed them. Black's eyes flash with righteous anger, and this reporter grips the edge of her seat in anticipation. He then transformed into his animagus form, a rat, and disappeared into the sewers, and that was when the Aurors found and arrested me. A thrilling tale indeed. Luckily for Black, Pettigrew, who had been masquerading as a pet rat for the 11 years while Black resided in Azkaban, was found by none other than the boy who lived, Harry Potter, who discovered that Pettigrew was an illegal animagus. Potter brought this to the attention of his head of house, who brought said rat to the Aurors. Our young hero strikes again for justice. Black has been freed and Pettigrew imprisoned, to the relief of all. One can't help but wonder how the ministry could have failed so badly. What other injustices have occurred? Black is currently residing in medical facility to aid his recovery from years of incarceration. A Wisengamot meeting will be held on the 14th to determine Pettigrew's sentence and reparations for both Black and the Weasleys, with whom Pettigrew hid. Currently under investigation is Bartemius Crouch, whom was responsible for Black's long stint in Azkaban without a trial. All post-war trials are to be reviewed and evaluated. Questions are being raised about the competence of both the current and last administration. Who else may be residing in Azkaban without cause? Lucius Malfoy asks. Sirius Black is the head of an ancient and noble house, yet he was tossed away as if he was trash. It is discomforting to consider that I could be in his very position. Arthur Weasley, whose son Percy first owned the rat before it was passed on to Ronald, claims ignorance of the rat's true form. It is very worrying that he's lived in my house all this time. I am very grateful to Mr. Potter for discovering his deception. Harry glanced around. The hall was hushed as each person read the paper. Those that didn't own their own copy were reading over others' shoulders. Percy looked like he was going to be sick, and the twins were comforting Ron, while Ginny was absent. Harry frowned. He'd hardly seen her at all this year. Every time he did, she seemed to be getting paler and paler. Bane of Rodents, would you mind keeping an eye on Ginny Weasley, the ginger one? There are many ginger ones. The female. Of course, Master. Harry frowned. Seemed that some of his boy who lived persona had rubbed off on him. Mr. Potter, Percy said pompously, you have my gratitude for uncovering this deception. Thanks, but really it was Bane of Rodents. She saw him transform from rat to human and then informed me. Bane of Rodents hissed her appreciation. Percy eyed her nervously. Thank you, Hiss, he said, still pompous. Harry chuckled. Sorry, her name is Bane of Rodents. It just sounds like a hiss when I say it in Parseltongue. Ah. Thank you, Bane of all rodents. An apt name indeed. He nodded to them both and retook his seat. Pompous prat, Harry muttered to himself. The Weasley twins, although still pale, grinned and gave him a thumbs up. A few weeks later, Harry was sitting in the headmaster's office, and Sirius Black tumbled out the flue. Harry, he cried. Sirius, Harry said with a nod. Sirius scooped him up into a hug, and Harry froze. Right, affectionate caregivers. Harry was going to have to get used to that. So nice to see you again, Sirius said, looking like he was going to start crying. I can't thank you enough for discovering Pettigrew and uncovering the truth. He squeezed Harry's shoulder, eyes bright but clear and sharp. Headmaster, he greeted cordially. Harry hid a smirk. One of the many things they discussed over letters was the fact that Dumbledore, as chief warlock of the Wisengamot, had had ample opportunities to get Sirius a trial. Another was Harry's treatment at the hands of the Dursleys, which he'd hinted at carefully. Suffice to say, Sirius Black was not a fan of Albus Dumbledore. He was not the naive follower that had existed 12 years ago. Splendid to see you again, my dear boy, and once again I must apologize for not realizing the truth and getting you a trial sooner. Dumbledore hadn't been told until the day of the trial. Why should he be? He was only chief warlock, and therefore required to preside over trials to ensure justice, not interfere with them. Sirius said. Harry resisted the urge to ding. He was saving it for later. Yes, well, I asked you to come through my office before having your chit-chat with young Harry to explain a few things to you. You plan on taking his guardianship? Sirius nodded. Dumbledore affected a saddened look. I see. As it stands at the moment, with Voldemort already having tried to attack Harry, I must tell you that you need to leave Harry as he is with his family. I'm sure he'll understand. Ding, 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 Harry cried. Dumbledore sighed. What? Sirius asked. It's my bullshit detector, Harry explained. Sirius grinned, then chuckled, then coughed, obviously trying to hold in his laughter. I do not understand. I hate my family, and they hate me, and don't even try and tell me the wards that are better than anywhere else, because they're not. Dumbledore frowned. Now, Harry, I'm sure that's not true. They're your family, after all. Harry scoffed. They loathe me. Family don't lock you into a cupboard for 10 years of your life. Only an imbecile could have missed the signs of abuse when they came to deliver my Hogwarts letter, so of course you sent Hagrid, who couldn't comprehend abuse if it sat on him. There is no way I'm staying with the Dursleys now I have a caring and competent guardian, one whom my parents originally intended me to live with. Sirius was bristling beside him. My dear boy, I understand that you are not happy with them, but they are your mother's blood, and I'm sure they love you. There are blood wards around the house that power the protection granted to you the night your mother died. Ding! The wards around the house are barely there. Check. Dumbledore narrowed his eyes and pulled a device from a drawer. He tapped it, and it span once, then puttered out. What? That cannot be possible. The only way for them to fail would be if— He stared at a device in his hand. If they don't love me, Harry asked. Well done, they don't. Never have, never will. Sirius patted Harry on the shoulder. It seems to me, Headmaster, that you've been interfering where you shouldn't have. I will be applying for Harry's guardianship, and he will never see the Dursleys again. Frankly, you're lucky I'm not bringing both you and them up on charges. Now, will that be all? Sirius asked. Dumbledore nodded, still staring at the device. Harry and Sirius left the office and found an empty class room. Sirius smirked. Bullshit detector, I like it. Harry shrugged. Would you like to meet your savior? He asked. Sirius frowned, and Baina Forrodance poked her head out of Harry's shirt. This is Baina Forrodance. This is Sirius. She's the one who noticed Pettigrew was not just a rat. Nice to meet you, Sirius said, a bemused expression upon his face. A snake, and I didn't realize Parseltongue was a Potter trait. Harry grimaced. I have a sneaking suspicion it's from Voldemort. I have a strange connection to him. He possessed a professor last year, and every time I was near him my scar hurt. Sirius frowned. Strange, I'll look into it. So tell me about this year. There's a monster loose in the school petrifying people. It's a basilisk, I think. It fits the criteria. Every time it kills, only I can hear it talking, and a basilisk's gaze turns people to stone or petrifies them if they see it in a mirror or through something else. I've no idea how it's getting out, though, but it's definitely something to do with Voldemort again. Be careful, then. Hopefully the headmaster will sort it out soon. Now, how's your year going? Pulling some marauder-worthy pranks? Harry grinned. Everyone thought I was the heir of Slytherin, so I told them that it was too obvious, and that it had to be Dumbledore because he was powerful and was here last time it opened. He's been having some trouble since then. Sirius laughed. Good job, Pronglet. He ruffled Harry's hair. Mischief managed, indeed. I know. Hey, I perfected the stupid little Gryffindor act for over a year. I'm practically one of you. Sirius looked affronted. Stupid Gryffindor. I don't know what you mean. Harry laughed. You will take over my guardianship, though, won't you? he asked, trying to hide his anxiety. Sirius' gaze softened. Of course, pup. I've got a clean bill of health and the entire ministry running around trying to make amends. I've already lawyers working on it. Sirius made a face. I'm taking up the mantle of Lord Black. I'll probably need it. I'm going to be protecting such a scrawny thing as you. Harry pouted. Meanie. Sirius flicked him on the nose. Squirt, he retorted.